So in this tutorial I want to show you how to work with images or with textures, as we call them in cables. Basically textures are images or a big chunk of pixels. So at first I will create a rectangle again and a basic material. So basic material, we used it before and just changed the color, so it was just one color. But it has some texture ports here, so we can use textures with it. And to create a texture port, we will upload an image, and this already created texture op for me. But you can also just open the file dialog and drag it here, and it will create this texture again. So now we can connect this texture to the basic material, and you will see the rectangle has now the image applied onto it. And this, you guessed it, this doesn't only work for a rectangle, but also, for example, for a circle or for a 3D object like a cube. So now we have a cube here. I will apply orbital control to just see it. And now you see we have the image on every side of this cube. So yeah, that's how you apply textures onto meshes. So one thing about the texture op, it has some parameters here. I will not go into detail, but I want to tell you about the filter parameter here. So when we zoom out or make the cube really small, you see a flickering happening there, some noise, pixels. This is because the default value of the filter is linear, which is good in most cases because you don't really make it that small. But you can change this to mip-map. And now you see there is no flickering more, it's much smoother, but the texture looks a bit blurry, but yeah, that's mostly okay. And same thing when you zoom in. I would set this, I will make the cube really big and go really near it. And you would see it's kind of blurry. So if you don't want this blurriness when zoomed in, you can select the filter mode nearest. And then you see the real pixels of the texture. So those are the filters. This is the way your graphics card can interpolate between the pixels when drawing them. So you can choose between those three modes. But generally, you should start with linear. In most cases, it's okay. So yeah, this is how you apply a color texture to an object. The basic material has some more parameters for textures. There's another texture port. So this is for the opacity. So you can create another texture operator, and you can use another image. For example, if you click on library, you see some images cables comes with, and you can select this texture, for example. Oh, I will use the rectangle again because it's much easier to show. So now this image is our opacity image, our opacity texture. So as you see, the white pixels in this image return the full brightness of the image, and when it's black, it's totally transparent. So you can make a nice gradient with opacity here, for example. And right now it's black because our screen is black. When I now add a clear color, you see it's really transparent, not just black. You can see through it. So this is the texture opacity port, and you can use it for creating masks, for masking your images, for example. Other parameters are those four here: diffuse, repeat, and offset. And I will make this a bit bigger. You can use them for interesting effects. For example, the offset, you can scroll the image around on both axes. And with the repeat, you can make it repeat, for example, 4x4. So now it draws the texture 4 times X and 4 times Y on the rectangle. So, but if you make this value smaller, you can draw only a part of your texture. And now when I use offset, I can define where it starts drawing the image. So now we draw just a smaller part of our image, or you can go further and draw only a really small part of your image. So now we are only drawing the middle part of the image. And this is really handy for some use cases. So I will reset it back now. And yeah, so these are the basics. This is our cables.gl texture operator. So this works with static images like JPEGs or PNGs, but you can also use videos as a texture. So for this, there's a video texture operator. And this one, you can just give an MP4 file. So, and when I connect this video texture to the basic material and press play and loop here, you see we mapped a video onto the rectangle. And you can still do the same stuff, like draw it 4 times. And it works exactly like the image. You can map it on the cube. And yeah, now the video is playing on all sides of the cube. Also, there are other ops which return textures. For example, the webcam texture op. And so when I connect this, you see the webcam that is connected. Also, for example, there's a SVG texture. This one can draw, let me search for it. With this one, you can draw an SVG file into a texture. And with this thing, I would use the rectangle again. And for this, you don't really rely on the resolution of a texture, because it's an SVG, and you can scale it. You can scale the SVG to the number of pixels you want. So now I made it a really high resolution, for example. Also, there's an op which is called text texture. And this will just print text into your texture, so a font. So, and you can enter words here, and it will give you a texture with that word or with that sentence in it. And this is quite handy, and because it uses the font rendering of the browser, so you can for example, use a typekit font or any other font and change the font of it. And you will just get an image or texture of the text you type in, which is really handy in some cases. So yeah, that's about the textures.